ShopRite's empire is booming, but it's Checkers who's stealing the spotlight. Today we're unpacking how this shift is reshaping how South Africans shop, the new police watchdog meant to keep SAPS in line, and this livestock disease outbreak that is biting into our meat prices. And be sure to stick around for the Wildcard as we revisit the local center that's kept the world's fastest animal from the brink of extinction. My friends, if you're enjoying this show, be sure to like and subscribe. And now, without further ado, let's get into it. ShopRite has dropped results and the headline is simple. South Africa's biggest retailer is getting bigger. You see, group sales for the year cracked 250 billion rand. Profits jumped by more than a fifth, and over 200 new stores were added, cementing its footprint in almost every corner of the country. But in saying that, while the group as a whole is thriving, it's Checkers that's doing most of the heavy lifting. You see, the chain has rebuilt its brand around giving South Africans a taste of premium retail at ordinary prices. And it's working. I mean, sales surged almost 14%, adding more than 11 billion rand, with Checkers now edging towards a 100 billion rand brand in its own right. Stores across the board have been upgraded with wider ranges and fresh food counters, while dozens of new supermarkets and liquor stores have been added across the country. And then there's Sixty60, which has turned grocery shopping into a 1-hour delivery habit. I mean, listen to these numbers. Sales shot up nearly 48% to 18.9 billion rand, underpinned by 94% on-time deliveries and 97% fulfillment rates. A new website has made the full Checkers range available online, while the service recently crossed the 100 million order mark, a milestone that supports its reputation as South Africa's most trusted on-demand delivery. All in all, the takeaway here: ShopRite might be the empire, but right now, Checkers is its crown jewel. So South Africa's police service is in crisis. I mean, corruption allegations, a suspended minister, and claims of task teams being shut down in KZN. And so, under pressure to act, President Ramaphosa has now signed into law a change that could be pivotal, giving the police watchdog real independence. So until now, the Independent Police Investigative Directorate, also known as the IPID, was technically meant to keep cops in check, but in practice, it often relied on the same political bosses it was meant to investigate. And so that meant when SAPS officers killed suspects, abused detainees, or were accused of corruption, accountability often looked like police investigating themselves. So this new IPID Amendment Act is meant to break that loop. You see, it guarantees IPID's independence from the police ministry, puts its leadership under parliamentary oversight, and also locks in a fixed 7-year term for its head. Now, crucially, it also expands the watchdog's mandate, meaning that the IPID must now also investigate deaths, rapes, tortures, assaults, and corruption involving SAPS or Metro Police. In short, it's an attempt to restore some trust just as the system hits a boiling point. So if you eat beef, lamb, or dairy, this one matters. South Africa is currently fighting one of its worst foot and mouth disease outbreaks in years, with 274 active cases across 5 provinces. I mean, KZN alone has 180, with others in Gauteng and Mpumalanga, the Free State, and Northwest. So this virus doesn't affect humans, so no, we don't have another COVID on our hands, but it does devastate cattle herds and shuts down doors to export markets. So this means higher costs, fewer sales abroad, and pressure on the price of meat here at home. Agriculture Minister John Steenhuisen has been out in the defense after producers have accused governments of letting things spin out of control. He says, though, that the real problem is farmers ignoring biosecurity rules like moving cattle or holding auctions when they shouldn't. So government has imported nearly 1 million vaccine doses from Botswana and it aims to start producing its own by next year. But for now, unless industry and officials pull together, South Africans could be paying the price at the till. And before we cruise on to our Bagel Bite of the day, here's a couple other headlines worth knowing. For starters, some good news. All grades of petrol and diesel drop from tomorrow. Diesel down by up to 57 cents a litre and petrol by 4 cents. Look, it won't erase the recent hikes, but on the upside, fuel is cheaper than it was a year ago. SAA is adding daily flights to Gaborone with 2 return trips each day. The airline says this is about boosting regional tourism and strengthening ties with Botswana while continuing to expand its African network. And after weeks of tension, Treasury and the Reserve Bank are presenting a united front on inflation targeting. You see, the finance minister will make the final call following criticism from the Reserve Bank's unilateral 3% target signal. And on to our Bagel Bite of the day. Let's see what you got. The question is, which country is also known as the land of the rising sun? Is it A, China, B, South Korea, or C, Japan? Bonus points if you know why it was given this name. And on to our wildcard section. Cheetahs can hit 100 k's an hour in a sprint, but in the wild, they are losing ground fast. You see, I didn't know this, but they are still listed as vulnerable on the IUCN Red List, with barely 6,500 left in fragmented populations across Africa. Habit loss, shrinking prey, and conflict with farmers keep pressure high. Africa's most endangered big cat is vanishing at a pace that speed alone can't outrun. And that's why South Africa's role matters. You see, back in 1971, the Devildt Cheetah and Wildlife Center pioneered one of the first major breeding programs for the species. And by the mid-80s, it had produced scores of cubs and was credited with helping to remove the cheetah from South Africa's endangered category in 1986. And since then, the center has produced over 600 cheetahs, reintroduced many into reserves, and has widened its work to include both wild dogs and vultures. And the fact that the cheetah is still vulnerable today really points to what could have happened if that center never existed. And so this is a reminder that conservation isn't abstract, it's measured in living, breathing animals that might not be here without it. And as for that Bagel Bite, the answer is Japan, known for centuries as the land of the rising sun because of its position to the east of the Asian continents, where the sun first breaks the horizon. And that's also, I believe, partially why the Springboks titled their World Cup documentary Chasing the Sun. It was both a nod to Japan, where the World Cup was won, but more than that, it also captured this idea of rising each day to start again and chasing new hope after the team's darkest days. And my friends, that's it for today's show. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you guys are all having a great week so far. And if you're not, just remember, Tom Petty once said, some days are diamonds, some days are rocks. Either way, I'll catch you all tomorrow for the next round of the good stuff. Cheers.